Death, taxes, England collapse. Here I was thinking, waking up this morning, expecting a very tough day of Test cricket again, potentially an interesting weekend. Before the weekend started, it's pretty much over. Great win by the Aussies, 1-0 up. So very happy here. Nash, you said yesterday that there might be a bit of a collapse.
Yes, I did say that, and I regret not putting that in the final edit of a review yesterday. But I did mention that.
And here I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I did mention that. It might be that England might collapse in the first session itself, and that's what happened. England did collapse, and always believed in them that they would collapse. So in the end, it was a happy result for Pat Cummins, happy result for Australia, and pretty easy win, I would say, for Australia. Yes, there was a period there yesterday where Joe Root and David Malan were looking really good, but Australia have come back strongly.
Yeah, I was thinking England might get in front by 100, 150 perhaps. Like, given the batting they still had to come with, like Stokes. I thought Pope and Butler looked good on the first day. And then, you still had Root and Milan, but I was really happy with Australia. We're calling yesterday. One thing I will say is that we're calling for the silly point for Nathan Lyon.
Yep.
And that's where the wicket came.
Yep.
And we're calling for an extended spell for Cameron Green. He got the wicket of Root. He bowled beautifully, Cameron Green. So really good. I thought Australia were a bit more attacking today, and we bowled amazing. We were relentless. Barely gave England room to breathe, to be honest. So perfect day, perfect result. 1-0. What did you make of it?
Yes, and look, the onus also falls a lot on the English middle order there, because Joe Root and David Malan, yes, they did not, go on to make big scores, but they did at least set a platform for that middle order to take forward and at least take the lead to 150, maybe 175. But again, the middle order failed, and it was all in all a poor performance from the English middle order, particularly.
Agree with you that they didn't get the hundreds, but they set up a great platform. They made Australia work very hard yesterday, and sort of caught us maybe a bit by surprise in the sense that England are really fighting here. But yeah, there was nothing today, and that was really disappointing. And you're trying to ruffle a few feathers yourself on Twitter, questioning Joe Root's captaincy.
It has to be asked, isn't it? Look, I completely get.
They've got so many more issues than Joe Root. Where's their batting?
And I 100% agree, and I 100% agree with what our friend Adam said there. With there's the question is not with Joe Root's captaincy, but who could do it, and that again falls on Joe Root, the coach, and the whole setup, doesn't it? Because you have to ask the question, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Joe Root and Chris Silverwood are in charge of the selections now. So they get the players that they want. So the question has to be asked from the leadership group and the leader, who is Joe Root at the moment. I absolutely have no doubt that he's one of the great test batters, but he has been the only one. And if he's not inspiring, or if he's not motivating, or if he's not encouraging his players to the extent that they could support him in batting, then the questions need to be asked. Is all I'm asking of the English fans and the English media, that you blame the pitch. I saw so many tweets even after the game, or the pitch was this, the pitch was that, the conditions were this. I mean, yes, correct, you're correct, but the batting lineup is shit. You have to face it. It's not up to scratch. It's not up to the mark, and you can't always expect Joe Root to score.
But the thing
200.
is, as well, is who's putting their hand up in county cricket? There's the problem. I think England's county cricket isn't as strong as what it used to be.
Yep. And I agree with that. But when the players do come to the international stage, you would expect a certain amount of skill and talent on show there. County cricket, even Sheffield Shield, Ranji Trophy in India, they are the pinnacle of first class cricket in those countries. But once those players make the move to international cricket, it's a whole new ball game altogether. And if these players are not up to scratch, then once they are in this international setup, it falls on the captain and the coach to make sure that they get up to that level. And I don't think that's happening with the England setup at the moment.
Maybe that's a bit harsh, perhaps, because if they're not up to scratch and they're not up to that level, then it's very hard at international level to, I don't know, tell a player to start performing or get a player to start performing and then find his way straight away. Like,
Again, I'm not saying it should happen. It can happen overnight. I'm saying over a period of time. But you see, players like Zach Crawley, players like
Okay.
Rory Burns have been there for like 2-3 years who are still not, stepping up and putting their hand up.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, the thing is there, if we're going to question Joe Root's captaincy, then you have to offer solutions as to who replaces him if they want to. And then who would that be? And can they do a better job? I say there's no one in that team at the moment that can do that. And it's a similar thing from an Australian perspective with the spinner. Sorry, my phone's going off. But it's a similar thing with the spinner situation. We know there was some tweets going out yesterday. Nathan Lyon, does he get replaced in the team? Nathan Lyon's value in this team goes well beyond his wickets. He took his 400th today, finally, but it goes beyond his wickets. Look at Jack Leach, 7 something and over, and then you have to bowl your fast bowlers into the ground because of it. Nathan Lyon can hold up an end, and you can let the fast bowlers.
And that's so
Nathan
correct.
Lyon's place in the team. Nathan Lyon's place in the team is not questioned right now.
Absolutely not.
Can he be bowling? Can he be bowling a bit better? Yeah, he can. But this guy holds up an end. England would kill for a bowler like that right now.
Absolutely.
Many teams around the world would kill.
Yes, and you're 100% right that conditions change and the role of the spinner changes. In India, even in Pakistan, when Australia go next year, Nathan Lyon's role will start probably over 7 or over 8 in the innings, and he will be seen as that wicket-taking option. Even Ashwin, who came on Australian shows last year and performed that role of keeping everything in check. And in that process, he ended up getting the wickets, which was just a byproduct of him bowling well and economical. So that's what happens with the Australian setup as well. In Australia, Nathan Lyon just holds up one end, and the fast bowlers are so good from the other end that they just get all the wickets. And yes, Nathan Lyon did get 4 wickets, and congratulations to him on becoming the 3rd highest wicket taker for Australia as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the role in his team, I've always said it. Like, you have to, if you're going to get him out of the team, who are you going to put in? And can someone, Mitch Swepson, for example, play the holding role? You're not going to expect Mitch Swepson to come into the team and take a bag of wickets.
Yep.
He has to play the holding role first and foremost in Australian conditions. England don't have that. That's why they struggle here in Australia. The only time that they won was 2010-11 in recent times, because Graham Swan did a great job at that. You have to have someone like your spin option to hold up an end so you can rotate your quicks at the other end. No one does it better. Nathan Lyon is still the best spinner in the country. No debate.
Absolutely.
No debate. So we need to put respect on his name.
Absolutely. And just touching on where the biggest difference between England and Australia in this test was, yes, as we spoke about Nathan Lyon and Jack Leach as a spinner, but the second difference was the chances. The chances created by the bowling attack of both sides, and the chances that actually Australia grabbed onto. They took all their catches, they fielded really well, whereas England, put down easy chances. They bowled well. Yep. Ollie Robinson bowled really well, but some of the other bowlers did not create as many chances either.
Yeah. I think, Australia took all their chances on that first day. Everything that was edged was taken. Great catches in the deep by Hazelwood, and England missed runouts. They gave David Warner, a number of lives. You can't do that. So when you're doing that, in addition to scoring peanuts with the bat, let's face it, England with the bat, 147 all out in the first innings, and then in the second innings, outside of that partnership, was 9 for about 140 as well.
Yeah.
So when you're batting like that, you can't afford to drop your catches. So I thought the seamers for England did pretty well, especially Ollie Robinson.
Yep.
So there's some encouragement there, and then they've got the pink ball in Adelaide, which I think will bring them into the game. But they need runs, man. That's the main priority for them. They're just not scoring enough.
Yep.
That's the issue.
And going into Adelaide in a week's time, I think in 5-6 days time, it's going to be interesting to see if they drop Leach and pick do they play any spinner at all? That'll be the important question as well.
I think they'll play a full seam attack now and then play Root as the spinner.
Yep.
You know.
And to top it off, I think England will end up losing a lot of World Test Championship points as well, because I was listening on comms this morning that in this cycle you lose 1 point for each over shot, and England was 7 or 8 over shot already, and with the target so less, they could not make up for that lost time. So England will end up losing 5-6 points from their World Championship tally. So
it's like they can't afford to drop chances, and they can't afford to lose World Test Championship points, can they? It's us icing on the cake.
Exactly. And because that links into the point of playing an all-seam attack, because once you play an attack with 4 or 5 fast bowlers, you have literally no chance to cover all your
very
overs.
Hard,
because they got 60 minutes more yesterday and they only bowled 84 overs.
That's right. The over rate wasn't good.
Exactly. So last question, Shabel, at least last question from my side, which is probably an important question from now putting my India fan hat on. Is the Gabba tour back? What do you reckon?
Yeah. There's an element of it. There was like, this is how we've been performing at the Gabba over the years, but let's face it, England aren't the strongest opposition right now. I want to dig the boot into them a little bit more. I think if we can beat India at the Gabba, I'll be more impressed. That's a big credit to India, and that's fact.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
fact.
Absolutely.
I look at the way Australia play here at home, and you just got to give massive credit to how India perform here. But let's enjoy playing England now. I think we have to play well at Adelaide, because I think that'll bring England's bowlers in the game. So that might be an interesting game, but happy to get a win and get back on a streak of 1 victory in a row at the Gabba. 30 more years to go.
Absolutely. And this morning, Cricket Australia also confirmed that the 5th test is a day-night in the Blundstone Arena in Hobart, Tasmania. What do you make of that? Happy, or would you have liked to see it in Sydney or Melbourne?
To be honest, whatever decision they make, I wouldn't have been upset or overly over the moon about it. But my pick was Hobart, in the sense that the reason was you take the game around the country kind of thing. And to give the people of Hobart an Ashes test is great. It's now on them to fill out the stadium. But when we talk about capacities, remember we used to play the Perth test at the Wacker. The capacity was about 20, 25,000 there. I think Blundstone is around 20,000. So, you've played Ashes test matches at a similar size ground before. But to give Hobart the test is great, and it's time for them to fill it out, because it could be a wonderful little test match. We have to make sure, hopefully, that series is wrapped up before then, because a day-night test in Hobart is tricky.
Imagine the series is 2-1, and the teams go into that final day-night test with anything could happen. It will be a cracking end to the series as well.
That's where you hear Shane Warne talking about this should be in Melbourne. But look, a day-night test in Melbourne would have been awesome. It would have been awesome. Don't get me wrong. But for Hobart, the people of Hobart, and for the kids in Hobart to see their, the national team right in front of them is really cool. So it's a good thing to take the game around the country. We should do it more.
Yep. So Shabel, this has been brilliant. First test win in the first Ashes test at the Gabba. And it's been lovely reviewing all the days and the test match with you. And hopefully we come back for the Adelaide test as well.
Yeah, that's the plan. Looking forward to it. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.